Hello, everybody. We're now joined by author and publisher Kathleen Peddicord of Live and Invest Overseas. Now, Kathleen is going to share with us top overseas income markets you've probably never even thought of. Well, Kathleen Peddicord, I'm excited to have you. You're not here with me in studio one day, but you're in Panama, and I am a huge fan of yours. I've been following you for years. You give so much advice. You help people every single day, those that are considering investing in other countries or relocating in other countries. But I have to tell you, you're getting a huge following, people that just want to go and experience a different culture or a different country.
That's great. I love that. That's great.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about top income markets you probably never thought of. So you ready to go with these ones?
Yep.
All right. So Kathleen, I hope I don't butcher this. I'm going to try. Okay. But you're saying Cuenca, Ecuador, is a great up and coming area. Tell us more.
Cuenca is very established at this point. It's very recognized as a retirement choice. I think for the past decade, really, I and others have been recommending Cuenca as really an ideal place to think about retiring. And so what's happened over the past decade is a big and growing retirement community, expat community has established there. This has changed the dynamics of Cuenca in so many ways. It's changed it culturally, because now there are all of these Americans and Canadians walking around among all the Ecuadorians, which is great. The retirement community there in Cuenca is very integrated into the local community, which is really great. And so, but it's changing the whole vibe of Cuenca, which is a really beautiful old colonial city. But something else has been happening that no one's been paying attention to, including us, until very recently. When I was there most recently, I noticed that all of these American Canadian retirees and expats who have moved to Cuenca, they prefer to rent, not to buy their own homes, which I recommend often. That can be the best choice. It's easier and it makes you more flexible, more mobile, and also it's cheaper. And so while property prices have remained very low in Cuenca, rents are they're not high by any stretch, but they're solid. They're strong enough to mean that you can buy for, say, $75,000 and then rent for, say, $750 a month. That's a very, very good rental return.
It's a great return. And Kathleen, I think what's important is in typical markets, when we're talking real estate, there's that immediate, what we call cash flow or return on investment, such as when it's a rental property, whether it be short-term or long-term, but there's also the capital gain or what we call appreciation component as well. So most places, we usually use the 5% to 7% annualized return or gain year over year. And you're indicating that it's about 5% currently in that region per annum.
In Cuenca, exactly.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
Exactly. And I think that's going to continue.
And what about the cost of running these? Is it reasonable?
It's very reasonable. The cost of everything in Cuenca is really low. One little side plus is you don't need air conditioning or heating. So your utility expense is negligible, almost non-existent.
That's huge.
You don't need it's never too hot and it's never too cold.
See, Kathleen, most of us wouldn't know this. It's because you travel the world. You've done this yourself. This is something that you've taken from a starting point as you just experienced it and realized there weren't many resources when you were doing it. So this was one of those, okay, I write about this, now I'm going to help others. So talk to us about how this all came about. It's a great story.
I was an English literature major. I wanted to be a writer and I wanted to live outside the States. I especially wanted to live in Europe. I took the first decent job I could get as a writer. My father thought I'd never get a job. Writers were unemployable, my father believed. He was so worried about me. So I was so excited to get a job. And then coincidentally, the publishing house I went to work for published information on traveling and living and investing overseas. I was with that company for 23 years, and it was just completely by accident and so fortunate for me that through that position, I was able to start traveling at an early age. I was just going everywhere, even at a time when it wasn't so easy, and there weren't the resources that there are today. And we were writing about living and retiring and investing in these places back at a time when most people thought we were crazy, thought these were just ridiculous ideas. If you were going to retire anywhere other than where you been living up until the point of retirement, you were going to retire somewhere else in your own country, somewhere else in Canada, somewhere else in the United States, Florida maybe. you weren't going to go to Panama, or that was just crazy.
But what's key here, Kathleen, is that you lived it. So you're talking not only from experience, but you created a niche that, you're right, there weren't the resources out there. And there's more and more people that even want this assistance when they're talking traveling. And a lot of people are going for what we call longer term stays, where it doesn't fit the mold of 10 days or 14 days. They want to go for a few months. They want to experience the culture. They want to try it out.
And that's a great option. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't have to sell everything and then walk away from family and friends and your whole life to that point and go to X, Argentina or France or Thailand or wherever, and never look back. That's an extreme version that works for some people, but anybody, I think, could benefit and really enjoy the idea of going and spending a few months or part of each year. Especially, say, if you're living somewhere very snowy in the winter, the idea of spending, those 3, 4, 5 months somewhere warm and sunny, that's a really appealing idea. And then you come back home. So you still have the safety and the comfort of coming back home, your family, your grandkids, whatever. But you have that escape and the adventure, the experience.
Coming up next, overseas investment specialist Kathleen Peddicord shares where to buy properties overseas.